podcast covering all things Open Division and Contenders, the path to pro for Overwatch League. And here are your hosts, Thornrayne and Kyle Wynn. And welcome back for another episode of the Blackwatch Report. This is episode 26. Hotdogs are the new Corndogs. I'm your host, Thornrayne, and with me as always, my co-host, Mr. Kyle Wynn. How you doing tonight, Kyle?
Great as always. I'm working on 4 hours of sleep right now. Just got off of a 8-hour work shift, so caffeine is fueling me at the moment. And as soon as we are done with this, I'm probably going to crash.
Nice. So let's make this a quick, big one because
It's not gonna be quick. It's gonna be
we got a lot to talk about. We missed last week. I was out in Baltimore for a week-long schooling for my job, so I was unable to get Discord to work properly to where we could record a show. So we're going to cram a whole bunch of information into one episode for you. So we are going to kind of forego what we did this past week because it would have been 2 weeks, and that's a bit much. But we do have good news.
I have one thing.
What's
one
that?
Bit of news. My entire state is on fire.
Yeah, I'm seeing pictures, man. That's kind of crazy right now.
I'm surrounded by an inferno. But yeah, I'm so far. I'm like 3 hours away from anything. So don't worry about me, everyone. We're good.
That's definitely good to hear. But it's not good to hear that the state of California just cannot put out the fires. But we did get some good news this week. We have not one, not two, but 3 iTunes reviews.
It has to be noted, though, that
the dates
on these.
Yes. Which I want to emphasize. I have a service that alerts me when we get new iTunes reviews, and
it sucks.
It's
it's
terrible. Because apparently it didn't alert me for a month for one of these. So Kyle, why don't you take us away on the first one? I'll grab that second one.
Cool. So the first one we have is from yesterday. It is from N82K. It is titled Awesome, and the subject is super informative news for anyone interested in OWL's future and the players you will see tearing it up. Thanks for doing what you do, guys. Thank you very much, N82K, for your amazing review. I actually don't see the stars on it, but who cares? It was probably a high one.
It was, I believe all 3 of these were 4 stars. So thank you very much. So we're going to move into the next one titled Good Show. This is by Call Me Quartet. And it says, great show. Forgot to mention McGravy getting called up to Team USA in episode 22. Sad face. Sorry about that, Call Me Quartet. We will not let that happen again.
We will not sleep on McGravy anymore.
And that was from July 16th.
Yes. That was a couple episodes ago. Last one is, it's a little bit less hype than the first couple. Specifically titled Needs More Hype. From Dazzle167. This was from July 13th. This is, despite the golf-like commentary, the Blackwatch Report is the best source for Contenders news in any known media. Just needs a little bit more hype and less NPR whispering. Otherwise, amazing content. Yes, I did read that specifically with less hype and more NPR whispering. But it depends on what day you catch me. If you catch me on a day like today where I've had like 4 cups of tea, I'm like ready to I can talk at high energy about all the amazing things in Contenders. But there's other days, man, where I'm exhausted and I'm just like, bro, I'm gonna read you what I can at an effort I can do. So we will work on the hype, believe me.
Definitely. But thank you for the awesome reviews, and we will definitely take your advice, and we will work on those things. So again, we appreciate it. That's going to move us along. As always, we have our news is brought to you by our Patreon. This week, again, the Patreon sponsor is Shrugoff. You can become a Patreon over at patreon.com/blackwatchreport. And with that, let's get into the news.
Cool. So starting off in the scene news, this is something that was confirmed a week or 2 ago, and that is that Wrecking Ball and Symmetra are confirmed officially for the playoffs. There is a lot of unhappy feelings towards splitting the main season and playoffs on 2 separate patches, as well as that there's issues on the fact that this patch is only coming in for the finals of Contenders Korea, which is really kind of difficult for the 2 teams that make it. Or made it. I think that they that's already official. I probably should grab that info. But that is kind of good and bad. Good, we get to see Wrecking Ball and how he's going to play into these comps. Same with New Symmetra, but bad for the teams that only have like a week to prepare for that.
Yes, and we get to see some of that literally in just a couple of hours, if not an hour, I believe, actually. But that's going to move us along to the next point. It's kind of good news. I kind of disagree with the setup. Home and away skins are confirmed for Season 2, starting with the playoffs tonight, and then moving on beyond. Now, the only problem that I'm seeing with this is they quite literally look like Outlaw skins with the Outlaws logos removed. And that means that the home skins will be predominantly black and green, with a tad bit of white, and the away skins will be white with a little bit of black and green. I'm not really comfortable with having like the same color schemes on both sides. We'll see how it plays out. Hopefully they can give us a little bit of like, just give us 6 standard colors: red, blue, green, purple, yellow, orange, and then figure out a way to divvy it up amongst the teams when they play. That would be fantastic. But it's a start, and I dig it.
On a slightly more positive, but still skin jersey related news, Gladiators Legion have announced their jerseys, and oh my goodness, they are so sick. They look like the ones that the guy that does all of them on Twitter, whose name I can't remember, but is like did the ones for Eagle Gaming, I think.
Does amazing work.
They look like his kind of style, so maybe I really hope he was contracted for this, because it looks like his work, and it is so sick.
It's
the Gladiators Legion jerseys are unbelievably cool.
It's by far better than any Overwatch League jersey. Like,
yes, definitively.
They are amazing. We will have the link to the store to purchase those jerseys over in the show notes for the download, and I will make sure that they are posted underneath here also. Just a quick note on those are customizable, so you can put any name on them that you like.
That's cool.
Yes. I was seriously contemplating buying one last night. But that's going to move us down into the roster news. Why don't you grab number 1, Kyle?
So, Sit, the player formerly, I think he was the Brigida primarily for Goats, is now on last night's leftovers, but I don't think he played at all.
I haven't seen him.
Might have played 1 or 2. He didn't play much, if he did, if anything.
Yep. Bazooka Puppies releases their whole roster after failing to qualify for the playoffs. But I do believe that the owner of the team has stated that he is still going to try to continue. He just is going to rebuild with the knowledge that he now has.
Good, not surprising. On a note of people not getting dropped, and instead the opposite happening, kind of. Winstrike Team signs, in finger quotations, the roster of CIS Hope. I use the finger quotations there because I forget who it was, but one of the players basically stated that they haven't actually signed anything. I think it was Chow who mentioned that, or someone. It's not super important, but basically that there hasn't been anything actually signed. It's been like kind of a, yes, we have agreed, but not legally, so there's no, you can't like say they are actually signed, but they're basically gonna get picked up, which is cool because they have been one of the really solid rosters going in both seasons of Contenders, and we expect them to make a decent run, and now having an org behind them. I believe they're also a Russian org as well, which is kind of cool. So having a local org supporting them is always cool to see.
Yeah, when you do photo shoots for promotional material, and you release that material before you actually sign the team, it causes all kind of confusion. That's kind of what happened there. But moving us along, I know I'm going to screw this up. Danny, right? He just goes...
Danye.
Danye is officially off of the Copenhagen Flames, so he is out there LFT right now.
Next up we have Guardian, who was, we thought, one of the better divas in Contenders, but then it got replaced by Kraken Lacken as he was brought onto the roster. Now he's officially parted ways with the team. Not sure. I believe he's one of the Korean players. I'm not sure if he's planning on going back to Korea and playing there, or if he's just gonna hang here for a little bit, until he gets picked up by a team, because there's a decent chance he gets picked up. Or if nothing else, when a team loses their diva player, they will probably pick up, or if like a Contenders team loses their diva player to getting called up to OWL, he will take that spot. So hopefully it's the first and not the second, but best of luck to him.
And we have Snakes parting ways with Heiko and bringing in Met to replace him. I forget exactly which team Met was on prior. I do remember seeing his name, I believe. Yeah, it's definitely a European team.
Yeah. See if I can find it. I don't know.
I don't know why I want to say Copenhagen
Oh, Bazooka
Flames.
Puppies, I
Bazooka
think.
Puppies.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was on Bazooka Puppies, and now he's on Snakes. So a team that actually made the playoffs.
Upgrade.
Yes. Next is Blink Blue, who is, God, where are these? Like, there are so many teams that I have not heard of. Oh, they are Oceanic Division. That's one of the ones that I'm least knowledgeable on. The roster Blink Blue has been acquired by Order. I know very little about any of these, but
I believe Order is new to the Overwatch scene. This is them jumping in, kind of just already picking up an established roster and wanting to participate.
Oh, note about this roster. This is the roster that ATAR, formerly of last 2 years or last one of the 2 years on the team Australia, and RQT, who is also on that same roster, is their coach as well. For anyone who doesn't know who this roster is, now you know 2 people on it.
Yes. And wrapping up the news, we have DPS, the main tank DPS for the Sky Foxes, just announced his free agency. So that is putting Ace of Spades back into the main tank role for the Sky Foxes, and DPS looking for team again. And with that, we're going to move right down into our sponsor for the show, which is, you can break away from your normal energy and go rogue. Go to therogueenergy.com and use promo code BlackwatchReport at checkout for 10% off of your purchase. Now, this week in Overwatch, brought to you by Liquipedia. It's going to be this 2 weeks in Overwatch because we missed last week. So on July 29th, we have Apex Season 3 in 2017, won by Lunatic High. Now we're going to get down into the birthdays. We have Cool Matt turning 29, Flex Tank for the Houston Outlaws. Mikey A, DPS for the British Hurricane, turning 23. Free Feel, support Shanghai Dragons, turning 23 also. Oni God, DPS for Angry Titans, just hit the big 21. Congratulations, sir. Saya Player, DPS for the Florida Mayhem, turns 20. And Cammy, DPS for Lingane Esports, turning 18, officially eligible for Overwatch League. On July 30th, we have Eco, former DPS and team captain for Team Norway, turning 27. Daya, DPS for the Shanghai Dragons, turning 19. And Luddy, support for the Angry Titans, turning 18. On August 1st, we have Himsy, former Flex Tank for Ninjas in Pajamas, turning the whopping 30 years old. That is like grandpa age in Overwatch League esports. We have Drodo, free agent tank formerly of hashtag Brownies, love the name, turning 21. On August 2nd, we see the seasonal event Summer Games officially released. On August 3rd, we have Astros, support for Team Forge, turning 24. On August 4th, we have Klaus, retired tank for Owly 6, turning 24. We have Enlar. Congratulations on the playoffs, sir, and happy birthday. DPS for Last Night's Leftovers, turning age 20. We have Chara, support for Metabellum, also turning 20. Song, retired tank for VC Gaming, turning 19. On August 5th, we see BTS Overwatch Cup, won by Team Envy. If you know your Overwatch history, Team Envy pretty much won everything before Overwatch League. Cooler, retired DPS, currently competing in Quake Champions, turned 32. That gives some of us older guys a little bit of hope out there. Luna, retired support, formerly of Luxury Watch Blue, turning 23. We have Fury, the Chinese Fury, not the Korean Fury. Gets a little confusing here. Retired DPS, formerly of NGA Titan, turning 22. We have Bumper, tank for Runaway, turning 19. And then on August 6th, we see Cruz, our favorite Battle Mercy for Toronto Esports, turning 22. On August 7th, we have Legend, former tank for Rox Orca, turning 25. Grim Reality, coach for the Los Angeles Valiant, turning 19. On August 8th, we see Muzzy, Chinese Contenders desk analyst, turning 28. Tri-Spear, support for Bazooka Puppies, turning 20. Danye, flex for Young and Beautiful, turning 17. On August 9th, we have Coma, support player for Team Kongdu Panthera, turning 23. And Sit, yes, Sit, DPS, for the Last Night's Leftovers and formerly of Goats, turning the old age of 16. Man, that's depressing. I'm so old. On August 10th, we have Harry Hook, support for the Dallas Fuel, turning 27. Hidan, support for Sky Foxes, formerly of Renegades also, turning 26. And then we see Nisa, support for Samsung Morningstar Blue, turning 23. And that is this week in Overwatch.
A lot of birthdays.
Tons.
Moving on now into quick play. We're talking Korean games first. I'm going to first break down all the matches, and then I'm going to go through the bracket.
Yes, sir.
Is the bracket the same? Let me figure this out if the bracket is the same as what I have in this. I don't think it is. Okay, well, on July 25th, Foxes fell 0-3 to MVP Space. WGS H2 fell 4-0 to Metabellum. On July 26th, X6 fell to Kongdu Panthera 3-1, and O2 Ardent take the 3-2 victory over Jisoo Busan Wave. On July 28th, Foxes take out 7 3-1. WGS H2 takes out Blossom 3-1 as well. Runaway takes out Metabellum with a strong 4-0, and MVP Space takes out Element Mystic 4-0. Moving into the playoffs bracket, we had Kongdu Panthera 3-0 Jisoo Busan Wave, Metabellum 3-0 O2 Ardent, Runaway 3-1 MVP Space, and Element Mystic 3-2 XX Game in a very close match. Moving on into semifinals, it was Kongdu Panthera up against Metabellum, where Kongdu Panthera took the 3-1 victory, as did Runaway 3-1 against Element Mystic, where they will face off in the grand finals, I believe, on Sunday.
I believe so.
August 10th at 21:50 PDT, so in 2 days, 6 hours and 28 minutes. Liquipedia is amazing.
Yes, sir. And then over on EU, I believe I am. Did you pull that just off of Liquipedia, sir?
Yes, I pulled. I can read those off for you once you do the, or if you want to do them, it's up to you.
I have just the week 4 matches on the quick play over here. On July 23rd, we see Team Giganti 4-0 Who. We see the Copenhagen Flames lose their match to 1.23. CIS Hope fall to Eagle Gaming 1-3. On July 24th, we see Orglis and Hungary beat Six Snakes 3-2. Young and Beautiful beat the Bazooka Puppies 3-1, and the British Hurricane fall to Angry Titans 1-2. Now for the 5th week, let me grab that. I didn't realize that it wasn't on there. I thought I had all of them on there.
Oh,
For week 5, we see Young and Beautiful fall to Snakes. British Hurricane fall to Orglis and Hungary. Angry Titans beat the Bazooka Puppies 3-1. Copenhagen Flames beat Who 3-2. Eagle Gaming beat 1 Point 2-1. And Team Giganti destroy CIS Hope 4-0. And then I will let you take away the bracket portion.
So for the playoffs bracket in the quarterfinals, which is all we have at the moment, I think they are a Saturday and Sunday game. These two, Angry Titans are taking on 1 Point. CIS Hope are going against Six Snakes. Team Giganti is going against Young and Beautiful, and Orioles and Hungry is going to take on Eagle Gaming. These are all, yes, on August 10th at 9 PDT through 11 PDT.
Yes, sir. And with that, we're going to roll right into the NA portion of the quick play.
We did have to talk about rankings.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I scrolled right past that. Do you want to grab the Korean rankings?
Absolutely. So to end the season, we saw Team Kongju Panthera on the top of Group A with a 5-0 record. Team Runaway, number 2 with a 4-1. Metabellum, number 3 with a 3-2. And X6 with a 2-3. In at number 4, still squeaking away their playoff title area, while WGS H2 and Blossom are relegated down, or at least did not make playoffs, with a 1-4 and a 0-5 record. In Group B, Element Mystic was on top, with O2 Ardent literally right behind them by a map, at 4-1 for both of them. MVP Space was right behind them, with GC Busan right next to them as well at 2-3 with a 2 map differential between the two of them, while Seven and Foxes were relegated down out of playoffs with a 2-3 and 1-4 match record.
And then over for the EU rankings, Group A, we see Angry Titans taking the top spot 5-0. Below them in second, we have Orglis and Hungary with a match record of 4-1, followed up by Snakes with a match record of 3-2. Following them is Young and Beautiful with a 2-3 match record, leaving the British Hurricane and Bazooka Puppies to battle it out in trials. British Hurricane are officially the first academy team to be relegated, since it happened before the other one. Over on Group B, we have Team Giganti taking the top spot, also with a 5-0 match record. CSI Hope, and I did it again, CIS Hope, following them up in second with a 3-2 match record. Eagle Gaming tied 3-2, but with a slightly worse map record with a +3, and then 1 Point taking that last spot in the playoffs with a 2-3 match record, with a negative map differential, to point that one out. We have Org and Copenhagen Flames fall down into trials with a 1-4 match record, and that is rounding out the EU side of the rankings.
So it is now time to go back into the world of the things that we know a lot about, and that is NA Contenders. That is our speciality. And the first match we had was on July 26th. That was Toronto Esports versus XL2. We both destroyed this prediction here. We both had XL2 taking this 3-1. And what happened? XL2 took this 3-1, on point with our predictions this week. Except I think this is the only one I got right for this week. At least exactly right. I'm changing up a bit of the way we do these match breakdowns. I feel like they have gotten a little bit too in depth now that I've started doing a lot more VOD review stuff in the Blackwatch breakdowns. So we're going to talk a little bit more big picture on the match as a whole. So Oasis was taken by XL2 2-1, Kings Row to XL2 again 3-2. Volskaya went to Toronto 2-1, and then Rialto went back to XL2 2-1. Some things to point out. Shu on the side of Toronto Esports is one of the best Widows, and he is a Zen player. So he's an incredibly flexible player in that he can flex to 3 different heroes and do incredibly well on all of them. And really do a good job of contesting Nene, who on the side of XL2 has had incredible games as well. Nero has had pretty good performances on Hanzo and Genji. Meanwhile, his counterpart Dalton is kind of having a bit of an issue finding a role in the world without a nonstop 24/7 tracer, which he was one of the best at. Meanwhile, on the XL2 side, Mangachu is now falling into a meta that is perfect for him, whereas last season was a little bit harder for him. And he's been doing an incredible job of creating space for Nene to kill everyone. Then moving into our second match of that same day, NRG versus Envy. We had NRG taking this 3-1, but Envy flipped it and took it 3-1 in their favor.
Amazing.
Oasis went to NRG 2-0. Strong start from them. But then after that, it was all Envy. Kings Row 2-1. Anubis 4-3. And then Watchpoint Gibraltar eventually fell to Envy as well. Important thing to note is that it started out with Stratus really winning the Pharah v Pharah, but after that, they had some weird swap-ups. That was just on Oasis that he did that, but after that, they ran Stratus on Widowmaker and Rascal on Genji, which, if you know those two hero pools, you know that Rascal is a phenomenal Widow lately.
Yep.
And Stratus is a really phenomenal projectile player, probably one of the best Pharahs, if not the best Pharah, a really good Genji, a pretty good Junkrat, pretty good Hanzo as well. So that was a weird swap up. And as well as Rascal just swapping a ton throughout kind of led them to this loss here.
And something to note about
Lastly,
Stratus.
on this day, we had Skyfoxes versus Bye-Week. I was very confident in Skyfoxes. You were moderately confident in them. And we should have been more confident in Bye-Week because I think that this is their first official win of ever, right?
Yes, they only got one. Are you hearing
because
me?
I don't think that they have. Yeah, this was their very first win in all of Contenders, and it was the last week or second to last week of season 2, and they took it 3-2. I cannot hear you currently. Something is wrong.
I fixed it.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
And so Bye-Week take Oasis 2-1 and Eichenwald 2-1. Volskaya goes to Skyfoxes 4-2. And then they also take Rialto as well, forcing it to a tie where Bye-Week take Ilios with a strong 2-1. Skyfoxes have been playing this really weird, like 2017 dive, so it's your Lucio Zen dive with Diva, Winston, and instead of I think they're running a Brigida in there as well, which is kind of weird, and you don't have res, and there's just kind of certain issues with it. If you're running the Genji and the other team's running a Brigida, your whole blade gets completely countered. But then when they run Retzi on the Widow, he just looks phenomenal. So if Skyfoxes stay together for a second season, maybe just kind of lean a little bit more on Retzi for the Widow plays and just work on enabling him as a team instead of trying to do kind of funky plays where he's on Brigida and can't kind of perform like he normally can. Moving on to July 31st, we had Fusion University go against GGEA. You had them doing a 4-0. I gave GGEA like a 1 map kind of buffer, but it turned out they didn't need it because they got completely creamed here. Fusion University take the 4-0 to continue their incredible record in all of Contenders. They take Lijiang 2-0, Kings Row 1-0, Volskaya 2-1, and then they finish out with Route 66 where they finish and take that as well. Really strong play from them here. A lot of short maps, which I really do appreciate.
A lot.
A lot of full holds, a lot of, didn't get to first point, a lot of stuff like that. Great to see if you are like me and had to catch up on like 3 separate days of Contenders in like a couple of days.
I'm gonna blame this whole turnaround on the fact that they changed their name. I'm just saying.
Yes.
They were fine when they were Optic Gaming or Optic Academy. They go to GGEA and they're relegated. So That's just my opinion.
Optic made it to playoffs. GGA doesn't
Yep,
like hasn't.
exactly.
So, you know, if anyone who is of management, that is literally the only change you need to make. Don't worry about the fact that Sharp was a tracer like god and now he's having to play non-tracer things. Ignore that. It's literally just the name. Switch your name and you'll be fine.
You'll
Guaranteed.
be
good. But notes on the matches here on this particular match. Zachary, I talked previously about how a lot of Widowmakers, and kind of I mentioned this to Elk, and he kind of agreed that like most Widowmakers kind of have this kind of warm up time, where specifically where Lijiang is usually the first map played here. Zachary's usually like hitting a couple of shots, missing a couple, not like popping off. Here he just started out like he must have spent like an effect level time warming up, like 4 hours of Osu and Aim Hero, and then came out the gate just hot. Was hitting headshots, destroying everyone. And then we saw a mini Hotba play here from Bernard, was who was switched off to the Tracer on Volskaya Industries, which is always really cool to see. And then the one good look from GGA, as I mentioned previously, is when Sharp is on Tracer, which cannot always do because he gets hard countered by Brigida. But when he can play Tracer, he just destroys teams. So, unfortunate to see. Maybe he can work on getting his Widow even more solid, because the Tracer thing is not going to carry you to the top anymore. Next map here is Gladiators Legion versus Second Wind. I had Gladiators Legion taking it 3-2. You had them taking it 4-0, and they kind of split the difference here with a 3-1 Legion victory over Second Wind. Important notes. Panker is absolutely like, this was his like definitive game. Like, if you're like, I don't know if we have any like future Overwatch League scouts here, and listening in on podcast land or Twitch land. But if you do, really, if you're looking for a main tank, take a look at this game. Obviously, it is not against the best team, so take that with a grain of salt as well. But like when Panker is on, he is on. He literally kills the entire team of Second Wind on Night Market with a Primal Rage. He has incredibly just phenomenal skill throughout this whole match. His Winston is like one of the best. And then kind of his duo partner here that we also give praise to all the dang time because, well, he's earned it. Gods on King's Row is like one of the best. Him and Nene, I think, are the top two King's Row Zarias we've seen in Contenders NA thus far. Always high charge, always great grav usage. Not a lot of void moments where there was a 0-man graviton or a 1-person graviton that got transcended. He's always getting really good value, always coordinating really well with the rest of his team to follow up the graviton, which is like about as important as making sure it doesn't get eaten, is making sure you have a way to follow up the graviton. So that led Gladiators Legion to a 2-0 victory on Lijiang, 3-2 on King's Row, full hold on Volskaya, and a full hold on Rialto. Or no, actually, not a full hold. They got full held on Rialto by Second Wind, who take the 1-0 on that final map as like a consolation prize. Then finally for this kind of it's just the last game of this day. I was trying to figure out what week this was. But this is the Mayhem Academy versus LNL match. You got this dead on with the LNL 3-1 victory.
Yeah,
I had Mayhem Academy 3-1, but man, I gotta stop doubting our future Blackwatch Report Profiles guests here.
Oh yeah.
Which we didn't talk about, which I love. We should put it in the news, man.
We will get that at the end of the show, but we will definitely talk about that one.
Perfect. And so this goes on Lijiang Tower, LNL's way 2-1. King's Row is a real long map. Here's was a 6-5 in LNL's favor. They were able to go through all. I think it was a hold right before end, like before the final bit, and they were able to capture that. So that was, a great map. I love zero defense maps. They're so fun to watch. And then Anubis did go to Mayhem Academy 2-1, but then when it came down to Rialto, the throw all the cards in the air and say, I don't know, let's just see what happens map. LNL take that to secure their spot. I mean, really, after the first map, after Elysian Tower, they secured their place because they
Yeah,
just needed a better match or a better map record in this last map compared to GGEA, who got 4-0'd. So as long as they won one and didn't
yep.
get 4-0'd, even if they lost, they would have been into playoffs, which is super cool to see. LNL is the very first non-academy team to make it into playoffs for NA Contenders, which doesn't seem like a huge deal, but if you watched the first season of Contenders, there was such a clear difference between these two teams. So now we can finally say that it is not completely impossible to make it into playoffs as an unsigned team, but boy, is it difficult because
Extremely.
LNL has a lot of incredibly talented players and a lot of great potential. And it's only due to I think they have like one of the bigger support staffs of all of these rosters,
I
and
believe
they're an
there's
unsigned team.
five or six
They have
support staff. Yes, and like this is just a team that came up through Open Division, so they've got a lot of people doing free work behind them.
And they are supported too by Brad and Legit RC, formerly of San Francisco Shock. So you have some pretty solid coaching talent behind you with Overwatch League experience. But it is not literally just that.
Yes, Monkey Prince points out that they are the first orgless team, not the first non-academy team, because technically, season 1, Team Envious, or I'm sorry, Team Envision.
Oh, Envision, right?
But
okay.
I'll put a small disclaimer on there that was also the season where it literally one would automatically get into the playoffs. That was a non-academy team because there was only 7.
Right.
But now this year, or I'm sorry, this season, there's 4 4 teams that came up through the Open Division, and then the rest of the teams are all academy teams. So just something to point out that they're also the only orgless team in NA to beat an academy team, and they beat 2 of them.
That is correct. But my only notes for this is that Sugar Free and Dogman both had incredibly strong games here. Both have throughout this whole season looked pretty consistently good. There are occasional moments that I pointed out in Blackwatch Breakdown where Sugar Free gets a little bit over aggro, but like when you're popping off, you kind of have a little bit of a free reign to kind of play a little bit more aggressively because you can kind of afford to take those risks because you know you're going to hit your shots and it's not going to really matter. Moving on into the couple of games that we actually didn't have predictions from us on, and that is the August 2nd games, which was NRG versus Skyfoxes. We had NRG taking this 3-0. I probably would have given this a 3-1 maybe to NRG.
That's about what I would have went with.
Maybe a 3-2 because they have been looking kind of iffy at times. But one of the things that they did is they kind of fixed, NRG did at least, their whole kind of weird playing Rascal in Stratus's spot and vice versa. And I don't think they ran Stratus at all here. And it worked fine for them, mainly because they ran a lot of Goatsy stuff, and Poise, when flexing to the Diva, is like one of the best Diva flexes I've seen. A lot of players, when they swap to Diva, don't look like they're anywhere near like experienced enough, and are like really over aggro and kind of chase kills too much. Poise seems to do a really good job of playing that middle ground between like aggro, getting kills, and like staying back, defending supports, and kind of pushing flankers off. But that kind of contributes to their 2-0 victory on Lijiang Tower, the 6-3 victory on King's Row, I think it was. Anubis was the draw, and then I think it was a 2-2 or something like that draw. And then NRG took Rialto 4-3 as well. So they have been getting lots of points here. Unfortunately, points don't really matter. Like, whose line is it anyways? The points don't really matter too much. But Skyfox did have some decent looks here with Jaro on the Genji. Always a great fallback. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I would have went with the around the payload reference there, but whose line?
I think isn't the around the payload reference a reference to the
It's all
The
it's Inception, man. It's a joke inside of a joke outside of a joke.
Exactly. And then moving on to our second to last match, and probably one of the funnest matches to watch, because this is such a like it doesn't really matter kind of game, and this is XL2 versus Bi-Week, where XL2 take it 4-0 against Bi-Week. It wasn't a complete cream, like it wasn't like 1-0 on every or 1 and 2-0 on every single match, but they did take XL2 to take Lijiang 2-0, Kings Row 3-2, Anubis 5-4, and Watchpoint Gibraltar 3-2. Notes here: Nene on Zarya. I mentioned him before. I'll mention him again. He also played it on Kings Row here. His Zarya is so good. He is one of the few players who kind of, I think, is on tier with your like spree type Zarya one trick players. I think Smex is probably the next closest Zarya behind Nene and Gods, but he like the two of them are such a high level above the rest of this contender's talent with their ability to keep or to acquire and maintain charge on their particle cannon thing, ability to get grabs, build grabs, use them well, and play with their team to utilize them well. But he also had phenomenal play on the Widow as well on Anubis. There was a play that was kind of floating around through Twitter. It was a highlight of just like him just ding, 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 headshot, headshot, headshot. And it was kind of looking down for them at this particular team fight. But he's like, it's all right, guys. I got like 4 kills. Let's just stand on the point. And it's okay. Well, then I just killed everyone. Another thing to note here, we saw the last hurrah of old Symmetra on this point here. Mangachu being the king of the cheese, the lord of I don't care what your meta says, I'm gonna play what I want to play. Brought out the Symmetra on attack, not on defense, on attack, and they took it and they won with that. And then on Watchpoint Gibraltar, it is the Blevins term. I don't know if it's like I don't think it's his official term, but it's garbage time for this particular map because not only is Bi-Week definitively not in playoffs, but they're even definitively lost this match. And so why not bring out like Shurshoy, who has been riding the bench because Shane has been phenomenal in his place. So they brought in Shurshoy, and then someone named Jade, who isn't even technically on their roster.
I was gonna say I've never heard of him.
Like if you look on the roster on Liquipedia, and I'm pretty sure even on the Contenders one, there's no one named Jade on there. Maybe that's Capo or someone else that we've never heard of, but who knows, man. So Jade came in for Watchpoint Gibraltar, and that was a thing. Never saw them before. I don't think we're gonna see them too much in the future as well. But moving on into our final match, unless you have any notes on this.
No, sir.
Cool. Toronto Esports versus Team Envy. I think I would have probably given this to Toronto. I probably would have given it to them a 3-2, but like I would have not been surprised with this result.
I'd have ran with my boys, Team Envy.
That's fair. That's
Toronto's
fair.
been looking a little sloppy. Envy's been kind of on that come up in the back half. I probably would have given it the 3-2, just because they are both high caliber teams. But yeah, definitely.
And I always kind of like, I think they had a loss kind of earlier in the season, and I kind of gave that like, oh, maybe they're not that good. But that loss was against XL2, who is the 5-0 team in this Group B. So I think that like they are very clearly in that second spot because they have only lost to the team that is directly above them, which is kind of like, that's very clear that like the standings, I guess NRG is the same way too.
Yeah.
Kind of because because they lost to XL2 and Envious, so that group is very clearly laid out. But then to kind of break it down here map by map, Lijiang took Envy took Lijiang 2-1. Again, Envy have a bit of a weird thing here with Eichenwald. Toronto take it 1-0 with the full hold. Anubis same again with a full hold. Toronto take that 2-0. On the opposite side, it's full hold land, short maps. Kyle likes this. Watchpoint Gibraltar, Envious take it 1-0 with the full hold on first, which is, we see it, but it's not very common. Lastly, on Ilios, which is the official tiebreaker, Envy take that 2-1. Starting out with our kind of players to watch in this particular match, Dalton really just handed it to Tailspin on the Tracer v Tracer in the early maps. But when he wasn't having to take the Tracer v Tracer, Tailspin was looking really good at like kind of cleaning up kills on Anubis and stuff like that with on their defense. Again, I said it once, I'll say it again. Shu on Widow is phenomenal. A lot of the reasons that they did well here is because Shu had great Widow picks and just kind of opened the space up, opened the match and the map up for them. But that'll do it. Why don't you take these?
I will grab
the standings.
So down for Group A, we have Fusion University locking in spot number 1 with a 5-0 match record, followed up by the Gladiators Legion with a 3-2 match record. Last night's leftovers also with 3-2 with a slightly worse map differential of +1. And then Mayhem Academy rounding out the playoffs for Group A with a 2-3 record. That puts GGEA and Second Win down in relegation. So we now have our first NA Academy team down in trials. And as much as it would be cool to see them fight their way up through trials, I think it'd be cooler if they went down to open division and then fought their way back up through open division. So please, somebody relegate them down to open division because it'd be fun to watch. Group B, we see XL2 taking the top spot with a 5-0 match record, followed up by Team Envy with a 4-1 record. NRG takes the third spot, 3-2, followed by Toronto Esports, 2-3. That puts us with Bye Week and Sky Foxes down in relegation, with Bye Week getting their 1 win and Sky Foxes with a 0-5 record. That's going to take us down into the speculation station. NA playoffs bracket predictions. Kyle, why don't you lead us off with your predictions, and I'll get into mine.
Right. So in literally 10 minutes, we're going to see this happen. And that's Fusion University versus Toronto Esports. I am giving, like, I've done it too much. I don't want to do it. Like, I'm only doing it because I want to take the risk here and try to get the non-existent better playoff prediction statistics right here with Fusion University. I'm giving them a 4-0 win over Toronto. I know it's risky. I know Toronto has a lot of great pieces. But man, they are a dive team. Fusion University were a dive team as well, but they like have been able to bank on the fact that they can play a really good Widow Tracer. And also, like, they're pretty good at the GOATS comp. They're a good team who wins with a bad comp, as they have said it themselves. And I think that I unfortunately don't know. I mean, you can't really know the maps here because they're picked, I think, by the teams. But I think that just looking at their overall match record, they have lost 2 maps ever. Let me try to figure out where those 2 were. They lost once to one map to the Legion and one to Second Wind. So they have been definitively like destroying 4-0ing GGEA, 4-0ing Mayhem Academy, 4-0ing LNL. And I do want to kind of state that, like, I think that you do need to take this with a grain of salt in that, in my opinion, Group A was definitively the easier group.
Yes.
Out of the 4 Academy teams, you had probably the 2 worst Academy teams in Mayhem and GGEA. I think LNL are a phenomenal team. I don't know whether they would have been able to beat out Toronto Energy, Envy, and XL2 in Group B. I don't know if they would have necessarily like made it out of relegation into playoffs in that group, but who cares? They made it. So, but we're talking about Fusion here. So yeah, I'm just going to give it to them 4-0. I think Toronto gets knocked out here pretty quickly. Moving, or actually, do you want to kind of give your breakdown on this? We'll kind of do left and right and kind of talk about our own matchup here.
Yeah, we'll jump over to me. So on the Fusion University Toronto Esports matchup, I also have it going 4-0 to Fusion University. Just as this season has went on, Toronto has just kind of slowly started to deteriorate in their level of play.
Wait a second. These are best of fives. I'm a goober. I messed up. So our 4-0s have to be 3-0s.
3-0s. All right.
So change it.
So 3-0. Most of my other ones should be pretty fine then.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, with that, I don't know. Toronto has just started to fall off. We've seen key players leave. We've seen literally the week that their coach left, everything started to kind of go awry. Things started to look a little sloppy. Fusion University is a team that has been together, minus the change with Crackalacken.
They were the very first academy team announced too.
The very first academy team.
Early.
And these guys have played so much together that you cannot deny their ability to play off of each other. And I don't think that the state that Toronto is in right now, they're going to be able to beat Fusion University. So I'm giving this Fusion 3-0. And then I will take the next portion. So we have Envy versus LNL. This one's a tough one for me. Extremely tough for me. It took a lot of thought. I meditated on this, except I don't meditate. I gave it to Envy.
The Jonak meditation technique.
Yeah. I gave it to Envy 3-2, but I really, really could see this going the other way to LNL 3-2. But I'm going to stick with Envy. Envy's going to take this 3-2. I think they'll just be able to edge them out ever so slightly. Simply for the same reason that Fusion beats Toronto. The guys on Envy, minus Jaru with the tailspin taking his spot. Everybody else on the team has played together for so long. They'll just be able to gel a lot easier. How about you, Kyle?
I have the exact same, but I'm pretty sure I did my first, so I'm going to say that you copied me. I didn't copy you. But I think that mine kind of goes a little bit less on Envy and how good they are, although I do think it is a certain part of it. I don't think that they're the best team, but I do think they are really, really, really good. And I think that part of that is because Buds is really, 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 really good at Widowmaker. And I don't think LNL really have that strong Widowmaker presence to where I feel like that is going to be part of the thing that kind of loses them this. Because as a team, they rely, I don't say entirely, but heavily on Sugar Free doing incredible things. Obviously, the other players of this team have great moments, but I think as a whole, they seem to rely quite a bit on Sugar Free. I think Enlayer might, I don't know. Enlayer has been one of the good Widowmakers, but I think against a player like Buds, I think that he is probably going to, maybe win 1 out of every 4 Widow battles here. And I think that the reliance on Sugar Free and Dogman here mean that Envy have a very clear, like I've mentioned it before, if you want to shut down LNL, you shut down Sugar Free. I forget what team we saw this with, but there was a team previously who just had that, like there was a map, like 2 maps where they're like, okay, we're going to shut down Sugar Free. I think it might have been the Legion. Might have been the Legion.
Yeah, it was. It was Legion.
Something like that, where they just shut down Sugar Free, and they looked like a night and day difference team when Sugar Free was getting so hard countered. So I'm gonna give Envy this win, the 3-2 in favor, and then moving down into Thursday. This is technically the second game because I just copied the bracket from Liquipedia, who didn't have the exact times. So this is XL2 versus Mayhem Academy. I'm going to give this to XL2 3-1. They are very clear. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Audible. Calling it audible. I'm changing it right now. 3-0. They don't even get one. I just realized that I copied you again. I'm sorry. I think XL2 is phenomenal. They have 3 players who were like 3 DPS players alone who were Overwatch League caliber, and they have 2 other tank players who were also technically Overwatch League caliber and they just got dropped because they were the less good 2 tanks on the championship winning roster.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Like that's so and Mayhem is clearly underperformed despite having phenomenal players on the team. Okay, they had like 2 really good players on this team, and a really good coach, not really, and a lot of coaching support. But I just think that as a whole, XL2 have just looked so definitively better. They have a phenomenal match record. They have lost 4 maps, so it's not going to be as dominant as the Fusion University match. But yeah, I'm giving it to them.
And then for my section, I have XL2 also taking this 3-0 over Mayhem. As I said, copy in the nice NPR whisper. That's I'm gonna get an NPR whisper in every show now. Thanks for that. That's gonna happen. I mean, there's not a whole lot different that I can say than what Kyle has already said about this matchup. XL2 has a 5-0 match record. They have a 17-4 map record with a +13 map differential compared to Mayhem Academy's 8-1-11 -3. If you go any other way than a clean 3-0 on this, you are dreaming. I like Mayhem Academy. Probably the coolest colors in Contenders. I love their whole layout. I love the feel of them. I don't think they're on the same level as XL2 Academy. I mean, we literally could have seen GG Esports facing off against XL2 Academy because they only lost out by a -2 map differential to Mayhem Academy. So Mayhem is clearly not making it out of this one. Sorry about that, Mayhem. But then for the last first, reverse
the
that.
Last first game.
The last first. The last one we're going to talk about, but the first game of Thursday, we have Gladiators Legion going up against NRG, and I have this going the way of Gladiators Legion 3-2. This kind of just goes back to we're seeing NRG. They're not falling off, but they're just making weird choices in comps and players, making switches at times that I don't necessarily think that they should switch. When Stratus is doing well, and then they pull him off of the Pharah or the Widow, whatever he might be popping off on, and having him switch so then Rascal can switch. If they get their coaching in line, I think NRG could take this. Like, this is another one of those ones where it's gonna be close. I just think Gladiators Legion, behind their phenomenal tank line, are going to just kind of manhandle NRG on this one. How about you, Kyle?
I think this is gonna be a sick Widow battle if they keep Rascal on the Widowmaker, because Corey versus Rascal is sick. I do think that it is the tank line that will help bring the Gladiators Legion over this hurdle. And it's gonna be a hurdle. It's not gonna be easy. I don't think this is gonna be easy. This is gonna be a close one. I think that a lot of people in the Discord have been talking up Swan/Butcher and saying, oh, he's really good. He's just about on the same level as Panker. I think that he's good, yes. I think that he's one of the best tanks in Contenders, but man, do not put him on the same level as Panker. Panker stands above every other tank at the moment.
See, there's a difference of one of the best and the best.
Exactly.
And that's what we have right here.
And I think that support-wise, it's kind of even for me. I know some people have been given energies to support, scale weighing, but I think that it's close enough to where I can kind of negate it and say that the DPS, I think, for the Legion are less consistent than the NRG DPS, but I think that they have much higher highs than I think. Like if it's an on day for Corey, or even if it's just an on day for Blase, who I think is one of the more underrated players in NA Contenders, and I think he was on a Reddit list a while ago that like was pretty highly regarded as well of like the most underrated players. I think he's a phenomenal player. As when Corey is getting shut down, he's able to step up and kind of fill that role, kind of on the more projectile side. So I think that like I wouldn't be surprised if this went NRG's way at all, but I think that they kind of just have what it takes to edge it out and have the performance that's needed. But now I think it's time to move on into semifinals talk, which on the upper half of our bracket here is Fusion University against Team Envy. I have this going Fusion University's way again, but I think Envy might be able to scrape out a map here. I think that Widowmaker battle again is going to be cool. It's going to be a great Widow map, or great Widow matchup here. But I think that just like these two rosters, right? Envision kind of Envy versus Fusion University.
It's a
They've
classic.
always been like 1 and 2, right? It's always been like neck and neck with Fusion University. Always just an inch above Envision, now Envy. So I think that it's gonna ring true yet again. I could see this also going 3-2 for Fusion, but I still think that regardless, end of the day, they take that.
Yeah. And then I have it going the way of Fusion University 3-1 also. This is just literally like Clash of the Titans. Team Envy / Envision, however you want to call it, is still one of the few teams to beat Fusion University in a like meaningful way. And that was with a different DPS lineup. I hate to say it.
In dive too, so it's an entirely different kind of meta.
Yep. And like I hate to say it, but I think that the weak spot for Envy in this matchup particularly is going to be Tailspin. He's been kind of hit or miss. He's been shut down on the Pharaoh battle quite a few times by different players, and he's going to be in the sky going up against one of the best Widows in Contenders in Zachary. I don't know if he's going to be meaningful in this matchup. So I got to give it to Fusion 3-1. If they get a second map, good for you guys. I love the Envision guys, Envy guys. I keep like I don't know what to call them, but man, I don't think they're gonna pull this one out. I don't.
I'm sorry, Chew.
Yeah, sorry, Chew. So sorry. If you do it, I will. I'll come up with something. You beat Fusion University, I'll do something ridiculous on stream. But moving us down into the bottom half of the semifinals, we have XL2 going up against Gladiators Legion for my picks. I have this going the way of Gladiators Legion. 3-2. Again, like, I'm a tank player. And when it comes to tank lines, it's just Gladiators Legion, man. You give me gods and you give me Panker, and then you just send them off to just pummel against people. And then you give me Corey switching off randomly onto the Soldier 76 and throwing people off. Like,
the old school Legion. I meant old school. The
yeah,
the 3-week-old Legion comp.
The Legion comp that we've seen other teams actually pull in a soldier and it kind of work, but I think that this is something that they've perfected, and behind that tank line, man, I don't think XL2 will be able to break through and close this out. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle. It'll probably be a better watch than Fusion versus Envy, and that hurts my soul to say that, but that is my pick.
My pick now is, this is the only one where not only are we not literally the same match score, but we're not even the same winning team. Technically speaking, the same match score.
Just reversed.
It's just flipped in the opposite direction. So like, I'm gonna agree with you that this is going to be close. It's also gonna be so cool. It's gonna be a sick,
so fun,
amazing match. Again, great Widow possibilities here, but I think that XL2. I think that, like, I'll start with Gladiators Legion here. I think that they are an incredibly innovative team. I think that they have a lot of really new looks. They are a creative team. I think they're a very well coached team. I think that they have one of the best kind of, like, they out of the gate, they look like they're the best coached. But my only trepidation with this roster is that there have been times, I will redirect you to last night's Leftovers versus Gladiators Legion on Eichenwald, where Sugar Free on a Pharah just stumped them. They look like he was playing the 30th hero in Overwatch that has never been released, and he has been secretly playing it on the PTR for like 9 months. They looked so lost against this. I do doubt their in-game leadership and their ability to make calls on the fly without their coach in their ears telling them what to play. That I think that if XL2 are able to kind of switch it up, play something that they haven't yet in scrims, kind of do the old school Team Envious scrim style of, we're going to give you nothing to work with. I think that XL2 can absolutely pull this out in the 5th match here, or the 5th map here. I think that Nene, if they run tanks, I think that in a dive battle, I think maybe I give this to Gladiators Legion. But if you're running anything other than dive, I probably give it to XL2, just based on the fact that, oh wait, actually, man, I don't know. I don't know about the tanks battle, because if you're running Gods on Zarya, you're running Nene on Zarya, bruh. Oh my god,
dude, it's gonna be crazy.
I hope they play King's Row. If they don't play King's Row, I will cry. That would be sick.
Have we seen anybody not play King's Rows? This I'm pretty sure we've seen King's Row in every matchup in season 2.
If Toronto takes it to Eichenwald, but Kings. Skyfoxes bring it to Eichenwald as well. Kings. Yeah, no, every other group will play King's Row. Okay, we'll probably have a King's Row, which was going to be absolutely incredible. You're going to have hopefully phenomenal Widow play and hopefully phenomenal Zarya plays. This is going to be sick, dude. I'm so hyped for this. But let's move on into our grand finals match, which will be on LAN. Let me repeat that. This will be on LAN.
And it'll be a long ways away. It's not until like the second week in September.
Yes. And what does this mean when you have Fusion University and, for me, XL2 on LAN? You have Who Are You on LAN? And what happened last time Who Are You was on LAN, bro? He destroyed every team so definitively, like above any other performance I've ever seen from him. He just kind of woke up.
Yeah,
he is the true Lanimal.
Oh, 100%.
So I'm gonna give this to X. Ha! No, excuse me. I was speaking crazy for a second there. No, Fusion University 3-1 is my final answer, locking in. I think that XL2 are probably gonna squeak out something funky here. Maybe get one map. I can see him taking like Li Zhang if they get Control Center and not Gardens. Fusion
Night Market.
Night Market. Yes, if they get Control Center, Night Market, I can see XL2 taking it. But other than that, I'm pretty sure it's gonna go Fusion University's way.
And for me, I have Fusion University and the Gladiators Legion, with Fusion University taking this 3-2. Because like you said, we see Who Are You on LAN, and what happens when Who Are You is on 0 ping? Teams have 0 chance. Yes, I'm trademarking that. That should be his slogan. Who are you and his Dragon Blades when he's playing on LAN? It's unstoppable. You're not going to. I talked up the tank line of Gladiators Legion, but when you have an angry cybernetic ninja swinging a Dragon Blade at you twice, sometimes in a single fight, because he builds them that quick when he's on 0 ping, you're not stopping him. I did have it go 3-2. I do think that Gladiators Legion is going to put up one heck of a fight, but they will not be able to stop the Fusion University from just dominating this matchup.
Yeah, and I think that, yeah, we are on the same page. Fusion take this. It's just who they beat in the finals is kind of up in the air.
Yeah, 100%. There's no reason why they're not back-to-back contenders champions. If something else happens, man, that will be absolutely crazy to watch, but fun to watch in the same aspect. But that's going to wrap up the speculation station. Kind of as we alluded to earlier on, we have a very special episode of the Blackwatch Profiles coming up next week, which is actually going to record literally minutes after next week's main episode. We have Kate and Dogman from last night's Leftovers coming onto the show to talk to us about their run through Season 2 and just kind of their history and where they see things going in the future for them. So if you want to get in any questions, you can swing by the Discord, drop questions in the hot seats, the High Noon Hot Seat section, or you can just message them on Twitter. We will take any questions that you may have for Dogman or Kate, or if you want something that could be answered by both of them, throw that in there and we'll ask it too. But that is going to wrap us up. As always, if you are an audio listener, swing by the Twitch channel and hit that follow button. And if you are a Twitch watcher, watching us live, swing by iTunes and leave us a review. As you saw, we read our 3 reviews today. I will try to.
We swear we'll be more on time with those.
I swear I will do better with my timing on those. But those do help, whether they're 1-star, 5-star, anything in between. And as we found out today, we kind of sound like golf commentators, and I've never watched a match of golf in my life. And we NPR whisper quite a bit, I guess. So if you could go by iTunes and leave a review, that would help us immensely. But Kyle, where can they find you on the internet?
Find me on Twitch and Twitter. I don't know about my Twitch streaming anymore, man. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna stream every day, and then other days I'm like, I'm not gonna stream for a month, dude. So just follow me on Twitch at Kyle the Winner, WYNNER. And then follow me on Twitter, Kyle the Winner, same spelling and all that stuff. I'm a little bit more active on Twitter. Not by too much. I'm a little off the grid here, but mostly you can find me in the Discord, man. I'm in the Discord all the time. The High Noon Podcast Discord is the place to be. Where can they find you on social medias, my friend?
You can find me over on Twitter at Thornrayne. You can find me on Twitch also at Thornrayne. But I do most of my streaming on the Blackwatch Report Twitch account. You can find the show on Twitter at Blackwatch Report. There's no O in report. You can email the show, blackwatchreport@gmail.com, and you can follow the show on Twitch over at twitch.tv/blackwatchreport. We record live Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Our intro music is the main theme for Overwatch, covered by our very own Kyle Wynn. This has been a High Noon production. You can find all of the shows over at highnoonpodcast.com, and you can come and chat with all of the hosts over at the Discord, as Kyle mentioned, at discord.me/highnoonpodcast. And with that, Blackwatch out.